women will be a big part of this, and I'm glad of that because I think women are being brutally handled by the GOP plans already in place in the case of the Supreme Court, but even poised to get worse if you actually look at Project 2025 on women's issues and women's reproductive freedoms. This is just the beginning. It's hard to believe that this is just the beginning, but it is. So when you talk about the prosecution of women and the prosecution of those helping women to get abortions when they have to cross state lines, when you look at the abortion pill, that it's sent through the mail, there are ways to actually use existing law to prevent that. So there's a multi-stepped process by which what's happened to women could get even worse. So I'll just mention, since you're, Kim, you're the woman on the show, I yield to you.
On the topic of women, I have a mom friend who is canvassing in Nevada, and she said she drove from Petaluma to Nevada to campaign for Kamala Harris, and she said that it was kind of a mixed bag. She was at one point that there was a Trumper that called her the devil, but there was also, she said, a 70-year-old woman who chanted, "We aren't going back," to her as we were walking away from her house. She said that really gave her hope. She also said that there was a couple that was from New York that came to Reno to canvass. They were in their late 60s. They'd been visiting their daughter and granddaughter in Marin, and they came to Reno to protect their rights as their grandmothers did. They were elderly, she said, they were in hostile territory, and that it was inspiring, and they were there to protect reproductive rights. And then I was talking to another mom who said that her mother told her something really interesting. We were talking about how older women who remember the time before Roe or v. Wade were motivated to come out in big numbers, and maybe that accounted for some of the seniors and the early voting. And she said, my mom told me that tonight. She said Trump triggered a lot of women her age and reminded them of being girls in the 50s and 60s who were told what to do, who were told how to look, and lots of them are voting to take a stand.
Yeah, those are really powerful, powerful remarks and reflections on all the gains made by the Roe decision and gains that were held in place for so long, and now the way these gains have slipped away.
It's really highlighted by Megyn Kelly because she said something at a Trump rally last night, and this is the woman who Trump said she's bleeding from the wherever, right? So she's been on the receiving end of his misogyny. And Megyn Kelly stands up at a Trump rally and basically tells women who, sorry, it's true, a lot of women put their life on hold because for family, right? There are a lot of sacrifices made willingly and gladly. But at a time when women need to stand up and go, you know what? No, we need to take this one for ourselves. Sorry, guys. Megyn Kelly stands up and tells us to take a back seat again.
We have that video, don't we, Tony? This is Megyn Kelly speaking at the Trump rally yesterday. Go ahead.
He will look out for our boys, too. Our forgotten boys and our forgotten men. Guys like you.
This is a big thing to her, this cultural wedge issue, men and boys. Go ahead. I was just
these guys
the applause.
Who've got the calluses on their hands, who work for a living with the beards and the tats, who maybe have a beer after work and don't want to be judged by people like Oprah and Beyonce, who will never have to face the consequences of her disastrous economic policies.
Okay, stop for a second. I do want to say something about this. There is a subtext here which is really powerful and which is part of the divisiveness and the baked-in partisanship that is America today. And Trump plays on it, and she's just played on it. The idea that the macho, right, the bearded, tatted guys, I mean, she's calluses on their hands, that those people somehow are left out of a democratic plan for the economy, for the culture, for whatever it might be. Of course, that's not true. In fact, the opposite is true. The actual economic policies of a Trump favor his rich donor class friends, and the economy will suffer for those to whom she's referred. But it feels as though working class versus elite class is something that they can exploit, and they do quite effectively. I mean, here she is with a billionaire on stage, a guy who's never worked a day in his life. He was born on third base, thinks he's hit a triple, and all he's done is invested in stuff, been a playboy, tried to screw everybody who he comes in touch with, screw them from a business standpoint if he's doing business with them, screw them in the bedroom if they're a woman, and she's making the argument that he's better for the working class. It's utterly absurd. There is nothing in his economic policies or in his background and history that would suggest that's true. Get back to what she's saying. I'm sorry.
He gets it. President Trump gets it. He will not look at our boys like they're second-class citizens. And ladies out there who want a bit of girl power in this election, let me tell you something. How can you win when the sons and the husbands and the brothers and the dads you love are losing? It's not a win. We care, young women and older, about the lives of our children, the safety of our children.
That's it.
And we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you win at the expense of men? Okay, women, take a back seat again. Close your mouth, sit down, and get what you've always gotten, and don't stand up for yourself. That's Megyn Kelly, who somehow has swallowed a load of misogyny as if it's true, and she's ready to take a back seat again and sacrifice her rights to her own body again. Outrageous. There
is a remarkable thing that's happened. Well, first of all, somebody like Megyn Kelly and a lot of these world of punditry figures, I'm thinking of Jesse Waters and Judge Jeanine Pirro and this rogues gallery of people who show up on Fox News Channel, they have found a vein of gold in this Trump world and in this alt-right GOP and in these cultural wedge issues. So she can exploit them, I think, for a lot of personal gain. Now, you may say, hey, she's got the courage of her convictions. Maybe she does on some level. I don't know how much is, from a percentage standpoint, stuff she believes and how much is stuff she doesn't. But no one can objectively look at America and the Dobbs decision, roll back a row, and in any way with a straight face, tell me that women are better off. They need their reproductive freedoms. They need the privacy of decision-making between their doctors and themselves. It is utterly absurd, and I don't see how a woman, a high-profile woman, can make the argument that she just made. Here is Oprah on the stump for Kamala Harris. We played you a lot of Trump stuff. This is, again, just yesterday on the last day before Election Day. This is Oprah Winfrey on the stump for Harris.
We are voting to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States. We are voting for values. We are voting for values and integrity. We are voting for the right to choose what happens to our own bodies. We are voting to save ourselves from this precipice of danger where we now stand. All the anxiety and the fear you're feeling that because you sense the danger, and you change that with your vote. We are voting for healing over hate. Now, I believe in this promise of America. America has been the greatest country in the world for me. I believe that if you and I and the voters you see on this stage show up for our country tomorrow, if we answer that call that President Kennedy made more than 6 decades ago, then we have the power to choose a leader who will see us. She sees us, and she will do her mighty best to serve all of us. I believe we can do that, and I know she can do that. Yes, she can.
And when you talk about women's reproductive freedoms again and women being seen. I love that she said that because, you know, I feel as though the patriarchy since the beginning of time has ruled the world. I mean, if you look at every religion on earth, it's all patriarchal. It's started by dudes and it's set up so the men have all the power. You can give me any religion on earth and show me where that's not true. And so that's a political setup, right? It's set up. Maybe it was inspired by God or whatever. I'm not putting it down, but I'm telling you that all the political systems on earth, going all the way back to religion, which is a political system, right? You've got a hierarchy. It all works that way. It is set up for women to respond to the whims and decision-making of men. And so we get to America, where we were forged in so many great ways by these heroic guys. They did something very difficult, but the system was forged for women to take the traditional, at that point, role, which is way, way down the hierarchy from where the men are, the decision makers. And what you have in that legacy is something that we're constantly having to swim upstream against. And now we have a party in power in the GOP. They are in power in many places. I get it. They're not in the presidency right now, but they may reascend. They certainly could have control of other branches of government, and they have control of perhaps the most important branch of government, which is the Supreme Court. And they believe quite fervently that that legacy of the patriarchy, of men in charge, of women really taking a second-class citizenship, no control over their own reproductive freedoms. Are you kidding me? They want that in place in a bigger way. And I believe that's only the beginning. I mean, this isn't a party that's the GOP that's bothered by the fact that women make less money. This isn't a party that's at all bothered by the fact that women have had to deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, in the military, etc. for so long. I understand the lefties can be crazy. The lefties can turn everything into a battle over race, gender, gender reassignment, trans issues. I get it. You can go too far that other way as well. Not everything falls into those categories, but certainly you can see the fascistic tendencies of the GOP when it comes to controlling at least one gender. And I think it extends to other minorities in the society. My God, they're literally censoring books that just mention gay characters. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is a regressive kind of thinking. We are stepping back. I really grew up, you know, in this many of us did, boomers, in this time where the civil rights movement was exploding. America's cities were on fire. It was a dangerous, scary time because there were real civil rights issues, and that wave was cresting. And I grew up with this sense that we got to get past this. We've got to be more inclusive. The country's future has to be one of inclusion. And so that was the America that I thought we were actually making some progress. I mean, it was a horrible, bloody progress, you know. I mean, people were killed and assassinated. Martin Luther King and RFK Jr.'s dad, and more, right? The Black Panther Party, and and look, parts of this, all of it that was roiling America's cities and communities continues on some level. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we were evolving to a better place, a more inclusive place. Now I worry that we're devolving to a far more partisan, bigoted, terrible place, a darker place, and the future of America really is on the line.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.